What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours nonstop NBA DFS conversation starts right now. It is Wednesday. It is the day for humping. It is a day for tanking. Lots and lots of tanking for sure. We'll talk about that. Big boy slate. I saw somebody in chat mention it. Yeah, for sure. It is a big boy slate. 11 games, a lot of late games too. It's kind of backloaded. We saw this earlier in the week. I guess a lot of teams are taking the West Coast trip. I believe there are four or five games that start 10 o'clock or later on the East Coast, and then back half of that ESPN doubleheader. We saw on Monday, Denver ruled out a bunch of dudes. They still won. They were awesome. And tonight you got Joker is questionable, Murray's questionable, and ESPN. I don't know if they were just kind of like laying the groundwork, but they their shows were also coming at Denver like you're tanking. You stop ruling guys out, which, you know, if you're going to be calling teams out, they actually those guys were like dealing with bumps, bruises, and dinged and things like that. So, no, not the worst take, but maybe they just want to pressure Denver into playing their guys tonight versus the Lakers, which should be a fun one, an amazing and a really really fun hammer to end the slate. But one team in the back half of a back-to-back, a team that's really got nothing to play for at this point. I guess I shouldn't fully say that. Cleveland's got the one locked in, but theoretically they're battling OKC for the best overall record if they happen to meet in the NBA Finals as far as home court. So I guess they have something to play for, but not really. They're resting Garland. They're just kind of chilling down the stretch. That's the way it's going to be for the next 10 games or so. And OKC, I cannot wait for this one, Tim, tonight because, I can wait, but I cannot wait. It's just going to be madness because OKC, also, they're locked in the one. They could be playing for, in the hypothetical circumstance, they're playing against Cleveland in the the NBA Finals. They're happy to be there for sure, but they're playing for home field there, I suppose, home court. I guess I should say it's a court, not a field. However, they're playing Philly tonight, Tim, and the key is they really, really want Philly to lose to win because they get Philly's pick. If Philly's pick falls after 6, and Philly's right there, they're right in that sort of bubble area. So it's not a surprise that OKC is resting all their players. They are a smart organization. They're very, very sharp. So they are going to try to lose tonight. Now, good luck. Have you seen Philly? It's hard. It's really, really hard to lose against what Philly's rolling out these days. They're still like a 12-point favorite, and OKC's 6 through 10 is probably better than like 5 teams in the league. They are probably one of the deeper teams in the league. But, something to keep an eye on as far as the slates and, just a lot going on. I think the Pacers will probably be back. I know they're still questionable. I didn't mention Garland. Garland is ruled out for Cleveland. But, Tim, welcome to the show. There's a lot going on. We'll dig into it the next hour and 15 minutes until crunch time comes in. You got Neil Orfield and the Flannelverse, as well as Kevin Roth, and I believe Kristi is coming on in about an hour and 20 minutes for crunch time to take y'all home. Tim, how are things in your world? Did we set the table appropriately? It's going to be madness.
This is going to be an insane slate. 11 games, both on DK and on FanDuel. We're going to be absolutely a ton of news. I don't know when it's going to break, but we will be prepared. Pacers, Nuggets, right? Their big piece of news yet to be had. Interesting take about the whole OKC Philadelphia situation. I'm kind of curious, like, what actually will end up happening if they end up limiting some of those better OKC players. Like, I don't really know. It's going to be hard to really project that, and so many of these OKC players are flooding optimals, flooding sims. So I mean, it's kind of a tough situation. I'm obviously going to take a stand. I don't know which side of that I'm going to do, and I don't know what the plus EV is on that. So it's definitely going to be a pretty tough slate.
Yeah, I think there's a very real chance we see. And again, if this game is a 20-point lead, like whatever, like last time we saw when in this circumstance, OKC was less motivated. They just wanted to rest their guys. They weren't playing against a team like Philly where they get their pick and they want Philly to rack up some W's. We saw Jalen Williams, not J Dub, but the other J Will, get a triple double. He was awesome. He was spectacular. But I think there's a possibility. I mean, we saw like Washington, which by the way, Washington's a whole other conference. I cannot. Has anybody told Washington they're supposed to be tanking? I don't know what's going on here, but they upgraded. Maybe the league like threatened them with a $100,000 fine, and they think that's going to bankrupt them, just like they fined the Jazz. But Washington apparently is going to play Jordan Poole in a game they must lose. And I say that like, and Jordan Poole is like the best player on the team, left standing, and Marcus Smart is apparently going to play too. But last game at Washington, we saw they rested their players at halftime. That's it. You guys are done. And I think we might see that with OKC. I don't know, but it could be bonkers. I mean, I don't think I'm going to get to the point where I'm rostering, Brandon Carlson and Adam Flagler, but OKC has enough guys where they could do some really goofy things. And I'm a little bit concerned on the heavily owned players in the Thunder. And I think it's an interesting call to make. We should say, we'll go game by game in a second. But like they gave Dort, they gave him a hip. SJA, they just said, screw it. We're just resting him. We'll be honest on that one. Hartenstein, they said he has a back, so he's questionable. Why is he questionable? Didn't they do this last time? And then they just ruled him out? What is that? Like, why is he going to play? I don't know. But he's and like Chet's not on the injury report. Okay.
So Hartenstein's questionable. If he sits, they would still have, I guess, 11 guys. Okay. More than I thought.
Well, Kason Wallace is also questionable.
Okay, so they might go down to 9, is what you're saying?
They have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They have 12 right now. And they have
12 right now. Okay.
They have 2 questionables in Wallace and Hartenstein. And then guys that might get downgraded out in the middle of the game, possibly. I don't know.
Right.
Again, they are a smart team. They're a smart organization. I think they know. They really they've had this game circled. It's not a coincidence. All these guys are out against Philly. They want Philly to win, but Philly is it's so hard. They are a tough opponent. They're formidable. I mean, the only team better is the Jazz. The Jazz have been a monster. They've lost 10 in a row, I believe. They actually leapfrogged Washington in the tankathon stuff. So, and that's Washington facing Utah. And Walker Kessler's playing, allegedly. I don't trust any of it. I don't know. I throw my hands up. But there's a couple pieces in that game. Like, as of right now, A.J. Johnson is projected to be like the best cheap play on the slate. Yep. Because he's like supposed to play a lot versus Utah, and he's cheap. Yeah, we'll talk about that amongst everything else. But it is murky. It is a mess. It's really hard. I'm very thankful. I'm always thankful I'm not on the projection team. I just like to criticize every once in a while like a jerk. This one thing should be 1 minute more. But tough job. Really, really tough job to be on the projection team today as far as projecting Washington minutes, Utah minutes, OKC minutes, Philly all year long. What a disaster. But anything else big picture wise you want to talk about as far as the slate? My main goal is to try to get a really good lineup around Luka and Joker. That's what I want. I want those 2 guys, and then all the nonsense, because there's cheap pieces, and you can get double stuff. Is there a better dual prong late night hammer in existence than Joker and Luka? I mean, come on, that's the greatest.
I know that's fantastic.
150 points.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I guess the only other thing I'd say from a overall slate perspective is that these first few games are pretty terrible. So if all these Pacers end up playing, I really have no interest in a lot of these early games. So, I mean, I'm going to be backloading very aggressively here. Full disclosure, I'm actually not playing cash tonight, but I'm happy to answer any cash questions. But
you tapped out? Are you done with cash for the year? Or?
Not for the year, but I'm not doing it this slate. I'm not going to deal with it. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm happy to answer questions about it, but I'm not playing cash tonight. But yeah, I mean, like if Halliburton and Siakam play, like these early games are like just not really that great for DFS purposes. So it's definitely a backloading kind of night.
Yeah, and I think there's a good chance they're all kind of back. And the prices on Dallas have adjusted to Dallas, it's weird. It's not really worth getting. Like, I don't know if it's going to happen tonight, but soon. I'm not sure if you're aware of their situation. And I'm not the most savvy when it comes to two-way contracts and all that, but basically you have a certain number of games you're allowed to be dressed and allowed to play. And you're not going to believe this, but the Dallas front office goofed. and they've had too many injuries, and like they dress their guys too much and just let them sit, where they might be in a predicament where their two-way players are going to run out of games, if that makes sense.
Yep. I've heard about this.
Edwards only has a few left. I think Kai Jones only has like 4 or 5 left or so. And they got to be strategic with when they're going to dress these guys. And I don't know if they can get new people. I don't know how all this stuff works. But it's just something to keep an eye on probably going forward. I don't know if it necessarily affects tonight's slate. But right now we currently have Edwards and Jones dressing and 10. But I think Jones is officially questionable, if I'm not mistaken. But, we'll kind of go through this. I have the injury report up. Yeah, Hardy's questionable. Jones is questionable. Brandon Williams is questionable. So they have, theoretically, I guess they could be down to 7, but it's not possible. Like an 8th guy would dress.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just keep an eye on this stuff. You did mention, the first 2 7:00 games. We'll go game by game in a second here. I think it's an interesting thought process. I don't know when we're going to get news, but backloading is a good thought because 7:30 is only one game as well. That's the front half of the ESPN doubleheader. It's only fair. I knock Philadelphia for being on ESPN. My Miami Heat? You've lost 8 games in a row. This is, I believe, I saw somebody say this is the worst losing streak ever in the history of SPO for the Heat. And you know me, I'm rooting for more L's. I do not want to make the. Give me a 2% chance at Cooper Flag as opposed to a 0% chance of winning the championship. So keep losing, Miami. Keep losing. They've been terrible. Detroit's a 4 or 5 point favorite in Miami. Imagine somebody telling you that to start the season.
I know, it's pretty wild. I cannot believe Detroit just as a story for the NBA. I'm stunned. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, and it's not even a huge dramatic change in personnel.
Right, right.
Which is an indictment on the former coach, the guy that coached the Monty Williams, who got paid like a record contract, and I don't know what he's doing these days, but good for him. But yeah, I
wonder if it's an indictment of Jaden Ivey also.
Yeah, maybe that's a good point. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know ball well enough, to be honest with you.
Cunningham's taking a big step forward. He's going to be the most improved player, almost definitely. I shouldn't say almost definitely. He's like a 2-1 favorite. I think Great Barrier Thief is second for Atlanta. Daniels, who's that guy's awesome. Yeah, New Orleans just disaster after disaster, and then one of the guys they traded away is thriving, and then Murphy's out for the season. If you guys missed that, but let's do it. It's 11 games. We'll go through. If we have nothing to say on the early ones, if you don't want to waste people's time. If you guys are hanging out in the YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe. Turn on those notifications, do all those things to help us keep the lights on. I see the poll. Are you making a March Madness bracket? It's currently 50-50. 50-50. Are you making a bracket, Tim?
I am. I've already made a bracket. Yep. I do a little pool with my friends every single year. And I also bet every single spread of every game in the tournament.
Favorite mascot based on the colors,
basically,
or
basically, yeah.
do you want to reveal to the people? How ambitious are you? Who is your winner?
I picked Duke.
Oh, jeez.
I have to root for Cooper Flag. He's literally from Maine, Dean.
Yeah, all right.
Is
he the number 1 celebrity in Maine? Like he vaulted to the top. There wasn't a lot of competition. Stephen King.
I was just gonna say it's him and Stephen King. That's it.
Who's third? Who's the third most popular? Nader?
It could be me. I'm not sure.
Is Broccoli Boy like 5? Like who else is?
Yeah, Broccoli's top 10. I'd assume.
There's got to be more. We got to give it a Google for sure. Okay. Houston Rockets. The Rockets are taking on the Magic. 8.5 is a total. Yeah, not a very appealing total. Orlando is a 2-point dog here at home versus Houston. Amen Thompson, of course, is still out. Shepard is still out. Orlando Cole Anthony's questionable. Seems dicey. Seems highly questionable. We'll know this. We're currently projecting Corey Joseph to start. Suggs, of course, out for the season. We have not seen the brother, Franz's brother, Mo Wagner, Moritz, depending on how well you know him. You call him Mo or Moritz. He's also unavailable. You kind of alluded to this one. Not a lot going on here. Like certainly, guys could get there. They're talented players, but this environment is poor, and it's an early game, and I don't think I'm playing anybody here, and it doesn't sound like you are either.
I mean, we have tons of really nice spreads, tons of really high totals. This game is by far the lowest total on the board by quite a bit. There isn't any like really good value on either side of this game. I ran Sims for the show. I'm getting none of this game, which makes sense. Yeah, I definitely don't have any interest on the Houston side. Maybe I would get a small sprinkle of Wendell Carter Jr. But that's really it. Maybe some Franz in like a 150 set. But boy, you're really kind of like stretching it if you want to play anyone from this game. Joseph is starting, by the way. He is
okay.
Starting.
Yeah.
No changes to that. No changes to that starting lineup.
Yeah, Joseph, KCP, Franz Wagner, Banchero, Carter. We are seeing 11% Wendell. I mean, he's 4.9, so it's a pretty good price. I don't know what his ceiling is, but he probably doesn't destroy you, right? He's center only, opportunity cost, yada, yada, yada. But he's the only guy that's getting any semblance of ownership in this game. I gave it a quick Google here, Tim. Stephen King, Judd Nelson, Aaron Andrews, Patrick Dempsey, but I'm sorry. I know somebody's going to pass by Broccoli Boy and yourself, and Mike straight to the top. Anna Kendrick, she's delightful. She's from Maine, so there you go. And that's kind of the list on the first look through. John O'Hurley. It's not a very deep list, but there you go. Shout out to Maine. We're gonna scoot along, right? Next game.
Yeah, can I just say one thing really quick about the Magic? They are better priced on FanDuel. So like Paulo Banchero at 9-1 or Franz Wagner at 8-1, I think are decent plays over on the blue site at least.
Yeah, that is pretty fair. We are getting Franz at 17% on FanDuel, so that makes Mr. Richard in chat's from Maine too. There you go. So shout out to there you go. He's cracking into the top 10 as well. He's hanging out there with our guy Broccoli Boy. Okay, let's move on. The next game is Dallas and the Pacers. 234 is the total. Pacers are currently 11-point favorites. Again, last time they ruled out a bunch of dudes, but and currently right now Halliburton's questionable. They got that back on him. Pascal, personal issues. He should be back. He's officially questionable, and not even on the injury report anymore is Miles Turner. He was out last game as well. Of course, it's a great rebounding matchup here versus Dallas. As far as the Mavs, we kind of touched on it earlier. All the tall people are out. Hardy is questionable. Well, Kai Jones is questionable. He's tall. He might be able to play. But right now, we're currently projecting P.J. Washington to draw the start with Edwards in the 4 and Kai Jones coming off the bench. Also, Brandon Williams is questionable with that hamstring. I know they've been kind of nursing his minutes as well. Prices have adjusted. What do you see as far as the Mavs and the Pacers?
Yeah, so we have an if-then if Halliburton, Siakam, and Jarris Walker are all out. Seems like Miles Turner would be the big winner, followed by Andrew Nembhard and Obi Toppin. So it really is dependent on that injury news. If they were to play, I'm talking about Siakam and Halliburton, I really don't have that much interest in them. I wouldn't mind getting to a little bit of Halliburton in like a 20 or 150 set, but I'm not getting to any Pacers if they're all healthy in 3 max or single entry. On the Dallas side of this game, I mean, it looks pretty ugly. They're all pretty priced up. They seem pretty healthy. Like obviously if certain things fall, we can adjust. But right now, I don't really want any part of this Dallas team.
I'll say on Yahoo, I know some people play on the Yahoo, that they have not fully adjusted the price for Marshall. He's really, really cheap over there. He's like $17 on Yahoo. So I think he's kind of a core play, actually, just the way the prices work over there. Well, you said I guess the blue brand is FanDuel. DK is what color? What we give color? What color we give DK?
I would always say orange, but
okay. Yeah, you said the blue brand FanDuel. Like I figured out what you were saying, but then I'm like, well, what color is DK? And then I don't know if Yahoo has a color.
I have no idea what Yahoo would be. Maybe purple.
I don't know. I used to play a fair bit over there, and just it's tricky to jump on different sites, and I've not played.
We'd have to ask Kirky.
Yeah, Kirkwood. Maybe he's lurking out there. He'll let us know. He's still running the streets over there on Yahoo. Anything else of note as far as Dallas and the Pacers, or shall we, scoot along to the good stuff? Eventually, get to the good stuff.
Yeah, we can scoot along.
I don't know if this is the good stuff. The Pistons who are 5-point favorites in Miami, 218 is the total. Miami is a 5-point dog here. Who's in, who's out for this one? The only 7:30 game as well. We talk about the 7 o'clock games, not especially appealing. Only game at 7:30. Wiggins is officially questionable with his leg contusion. Alec Burks also questionable with the back. We saw last time Jaime Jaquez got loose. He was really, really good. Lost a little bit of time with some blowout, although I think he closed, but he probably played a little bit more in that fourth quarter. The price has not moved up a ton. I think he would be the guy that would benefit the most if Wiggins does not play. We talk about Detroit. One thing about Detroit is they've just not had injuries. Their injury report has been the same ever since the Ivy injury. I know they had the Asar kind of bouncing back and forth sometimes, but it's essentially been stable. Their rotations have been stable. Ivy's out, but nobody else of note for the Pistons is questionable or out tonight. How do we feel about? I saw our guy Eric in chat talking about Cade Cunningham. He's an interesting spend up, kind of a pivot away from some players. Miami's defense not as daunting as it once was. Certainly their offense isn't. They have one of the worst offenses in all of basketball. It's bad times. The Chloe Ware thing, that was a fun couple weeks, but it's not spectacular.
You called him so early in the season too. That was a great call by you.
You
were so far ahead of the field on him. By the way, Halliburton is out. Siakam is in.
Oh, okay. We'll circle back on that then. I thought Halliburton was going to play, but maybe they're giving an extra day because it's Dallas, possibly. And they are in the front end of a back-to-back, so that kind of makes sense. By the way, front end stuff: New York, Indiana, Chicago. Speaking of Giddey in today, probably out tomorrow. New York, Indiana, Chicago, the Kings, and the Lakers all in the front end. The only team in the back end is the Cavs. Okay. Who would start in place of? Would it be Mathurin? That might be.
I was gonna say wouldn't it be Mathurin, but I'm not positive about that. But they never start McConnell. It seems like so. I would think it would be I would think it would be Mathurin.
McConnell would probably have some fun if this game blows out, though. If you want to play that angle. But okay, put that. Well, we'll see what projection team has for us, and we'll circle back on it and see if there's anything of note. But maybe we could have some interest there as far as the Pacers. How about the Heat? The Heat and the Pistons. My Heat stink.
Yeah, the Heat definitely stink. Cade Cunningham's the very first surprise that I saw in Sims. Like, not getting a ton of him, but getting around 20%, which is over his projected ownership. So I don't mind Cade in GPPs. Like you said, the Heat are not the same team defensively anymore. So I don't mind getting him under 10K for a relatively low ownership. So Cade and Largefield is completely fine. I don't mind Jalen Duren, even though the matchup is not fantastic, but at 6'8", he's projecting really well, and his projected ownership is only around 10%. So I don't mind him in GPPs. Other than that, on the Detroit side, I don't have any interest in the cheaper guys. With Miami, I mean, Bam is going to be completely unowned on this slate. I think, and he does have power forward center eligibility, so I don't mind maybe taking a shot here and there. But really, this game is pretty bad all in all. So I'm not getting to a ton of heat. Did you mention that you were interested in Wiggins? Dean?
No, I was just saying if he's out, I think he's like a fine, okay play, assuming he gets normal minutes.
Yeah.
He's like decent. If that's the money you have left and you got to fill that spot, like you settle on it, okay. But I just thought that maybe if he doesn't play Hawkes, would be a guy that's of note. Although, we know the unpredictability with the Heat and just hot hand stuff, and Spo's just trying to find something that works. And, he's just cycling through the same terrible players. And then he stares at Terry Rozier. He's like, I guess I'll go back to the other guy. I don't know. It's not good. They have the worst offense in basketball last 10 games. Offensive rating is let me pull that up again. Yeah, 105, which is 1.4 points worse than the Jazz. It's not good. It's really bad. But Hawkes is still pretty cheap, and I was just noting that if we lose Wiggins, I think you could play Hawkes, but it's not necessarily something I need. That's all I got for you.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree. If Wiggins is out, I wouldn't mind getting to a little bit of Hawkes, but really, this Miami team, I really have very, very, very little interest in. Such a big slate. Like, why bother?
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the Pels and the T-Wolves. Another scheduled blowout. Minnesota is a 13-point favorite here. New Orleans, no Herb, done for the year. No Trey Murphy, done for the year. No DeJounte Murray, done for the year. Brandon Boston, not available either. Minnesota, anybody of relevance for Minnesota is healthy. Their injury report is clean. So, it's a tricky spot where these guys should be good while they're out there. How long are they going to be out there? Also, everybody's going to get their minutes. So nobody necessarily is going to be pushed as far as minutes. New Orleans, ping pong ball season is essentially this point. Where are they at in the tankathon? I'm pulling them up right now. Let's see. Oh, let me reset. I was messing around on Tankathon. We might show this later. Maybe we'll show this later. We'll have producer Steve show it. You can sim the lottery on Tankathon. You hit a button, you can sim the lottery. And I realized I was messing around, and I guess the last time I simmed the lottery, New Orleans won. I'm like, wait a second, New Orleans not the 1 seed. No, they just won the lottery on my simulation. But they are currently in the 4 spot, which is, if one team is going to creep in the top 3, and that's where you want to be. You want to be in the top 3, 14% chance to get the 1 pick. It's going to be New Orleans. Utah, Washington, Charlotte, they're within 2 games of each other, and New Orleans has identical losses to Charlotte. So, but they have 1 win on Charlotte. But New Orleans wants to lose. Is the long story short? And they're not going to get caught by Brooklyn because they have to win 5 games. And guess what? That ain't happening. So at worst, they're going to be 4, but they have a chance to jump in the top 3. I don't really know what to do with this game. I don't think I like it. I think Edwards will be good while he's out there, but what is the ceiling when this game presumably blows out? This is probably a scratch off for me.
Yeah, I don't really want it to be a scratch off, but I guess I agree with you. I do like Ant quite a bit, but like you said, this game should be a blowout. Brandon Williams is out.
So down to 9.
Down to 9.
Okay.
Yep.
Spencer Dinwiddie could be interesting, maybe.
Yeah, I'd like to see
Jaden Hardy is the interesting one. Go ahead.
That's what I was gonna say. Is how many minutes is he gonna get?
I don't know.
Yeah. That game is pretty. Yeah, Hardy's in.
He hasn't played in over 2 weeks. But he's a willing shooter. He would almost definitely be a mopper, and he's a guy that could be awesome in a mopping role. Just saying.
Yes. No, I agree. I really didn't have interest. I was really hoping everyone would just be healthy in this game because I don't want to waste the roster spot.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that turns out. And Jones is in too, right? So we got all the news there in Dallas. 2 out of 3 are in. Jones in, Hardy in, Williams out. So it's going to be 9. They have 9 bodies.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess Dinwiddie or Hardy will start. I'm going to assume it's Dinwiddie, but we'll leave that to the projection team, and we'll know it. If we don't know it, crunch time will know it because that's a 7:00 game.
Yes.
Bouncing back to New Orleans and Minnesota. I think you're saying you're interested in somebody, kind of, sort of, maybe.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards. I wouldn't mind getting to him. This game probably is going to blow out, though. Naz Reid is actually the one simming the best, getting around 10% of him, followed by Anthony Edwards, getting to a little bit of Julius Randle. Oh, Klay Thompson is out.
Oh, down to 8.
Down to 8 now. See, this game, man.
Huh. Are they reporting like one every 3 minutes?
we might have to get exposure to this game now, which is unfortunate.
He had the fish. He's out. He's ill.
Yep.
Oh, boy. Yeah, down to 8 is interesting.
Did you see that Tracy Morgan had the fish at Madison Square Garden, Dean?
Yeah. I mean, I know people were making fun of him, and he's a diabetic, and he's had kidney issues. He had that terrible accident, the car accident.
Yeah,
it was like a Walmart vehicle. I think that might have been related. I didn't want to dunk on the guy, but
no, I mean, he said they treated him very well. But,
and he was watching the Heat, so the joke's right there too.
Right.
That's how they make you feel. But I think he's feeling better now. But Bobby Bacala from The Sopranos was right there. I don't know if you saw that picture.
I didn't see that part.
He's like standing there, like watch, like what's going on.
That's funny.
But I guess he's fine. But tough scene for, and he's a comedian. I'm sure he'll have some fun with it. I would imagine at some point in his time. Yeah. But that was that picture definitely got circulated amongst. They're saying it was food poisoning. Apparently, that was the official story. But hopefully they had to cart him out of there, wheelchair him out of there. So, but they had to pause the game for a while too. As far as the Pels and Minnesota, did you give your final thoughts here? I don't have a lot of thoughts on it. I mean,
I would be getting to a little bit of Ant, get to a little bit of Randall, possibly some Nas in a 115, maybe put them in like 1 of 20. Probably not in a 3 max for me, but I wouldn't hate taking a shot on Ant in a 3 max.
Yeah. I'm starting to think about Dallas. I'm curious.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we're gonna redo projections. We'll redo Sims. There's definitely gonna be some Dallas. I'm assuming that pops, which might take up some of these early roster spots. They only have 8 players.
Yeah, and again, the path is clearing for Joker and Luka. Luka, and a bunch of cheapies.
Yeah,
that is where my brain is tonight. That's what I want to make. I mean, it's going to be so much fun. I think, assuming Joker plays, I think he plays. The game actually matters as far as the standings. They're jockeying for position with the Lakers. He's been dealing. It's nothing really new. Like, I think it's an elbow he's dealing with, or maybe it was an ankle, maybe both. But I assume he's going to play. All right. Speaking of Tracy Morgan, his team, the Knicks, are in San Antonio. 227 is the total. They are 8-point favorites against the Spurs. Who's in, who's out for this one? Well, Brunson, of course, is still out. Mitrov is questionable. He's got an ankle. Is this because they play tomorrow and they're going to rest him one game and they don't know if it's tonight or tomorrow? That's what it is, right? I think that's what it is.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
I don't know how much that matters, but just, I would imagine what's going on there. Maybe the ceiling raises just a little bit on Cat if Mitrov is out. But, he's going to play his minutes, Cat, either way. As far as the Spurs, no Bassie, no Fox, no Wemby, of course. This is a really good spot for New York. I think Cat's one of those players I'm afraid of not playing. And one of the reasons why maybe I won't play Joker, or if I can't get the Joker, like, okay, I'll play Cat against this Spurs team that is just horrendous defensively and, just super vulnerable. On the boards, as far as rebounds, second worst rebounding team in all basketball the last 15 games, only second to Dallas. There are 3 really bad rebounding teams: Dallas, San Antonio, and Philly. The Pacers are 4th worst, which isn't a surprise either. But, how do we feel about New York and San Antonio?
New York's definitely one of those teams that I had circled before this whole Dallas nonsense started. I really wanted to get to some Miles McBride, also Mikal Bridges. I think are both really good plays. Josh Hart in large field tournaments is fine as well. Really, any of the starting five. This is a really, really good spot for them. We know that they'll play big minutes, so I still like McBride and Bridges. We'll have to see how this Dallas value kind of like stands out, but right now I had McBride in my original single entry team, so he's by no means a priority, but I think that he's a really, really strong play at a decent price tag.
Just circling back here, we got a Pacers update as far as projections. Okay. This is just the way it's going to go, Tim. This is how we do it. A lot of circling back for sure. Let's see our Pacers update. I think Mathurin's going to project okay. Pascal, Turner. I guess there's not a clear-cut guy just because of how the slate is shaken out. Oh, if you hit refresh, we got Dallas as well too. Look at this projection team; they're on top of everything. Yeah, let's get another refresh in there because they just kicked Clay and Williams out. I'm really curious to see what they're doing with Hardy. So I think Hardy can be a good play. By the way, not mentioning did we mention PJ Washington? He could just, he could drop like a 25 and 15 and play 40 minutes.
Easily.
We've seen that out of him. I think he's an interesting spend up and wasn't really somebody I was strongly considering.
Did we get a Dallas update in projections?
Yeah, just if you were hit refresh, let's see. We got an update as of you know what? The names just disappeared. The update didn't actually. A lot of times when the names appear, like they say removed, that means it's ready to go. But yeah, you're right. The actual numbers have not changed. They just kicked them out.
I was gonna say I've hit refresh several times now.
Yeah, I got rug pulled. I fell for the oldest trick. The names just kind of disappeared. We're giving Mathurin 32 minutes, Naismith 32, Nembhard 32, Pascal 32, Turner 30, McConnell 24. So it's playable. And I see as far as hitting lineups and stuff. And again, this will change 100 times. Not that many, but enough. Mathurin hit 30% of my DK lineups. Pascal at 14, Turner at 12. And I think on FanDuel, it was Nembhard is 5-4 over there. Pretty good price. He's hitting 44% of my lineups. That's interesting. So we will circle back. You have any thoughts as far as the minutes there at the Pacers? I think if you're running large field stuff, you got to have some McConnell as well.
Yeah, now it's an interesting decision between McBride and Mathurin. Because I had McBride in that spot, but now things are a little bit different because Mathurin now stands out as a really strong play.
Would you likely play Mathurin with one of the Mavs?
I'm assuming we're going to be getting to a couple of Mavs here. So yeah, the answer is most likely yes.
Yeah.
But I'm not, I wouldn't force it, but now it's going to be just such good point per dollar value. I'm assuming that'll just come naturally in your builds. You know what, Tim?
Now you're okay to hit refresh on Lineup HQ.
Oh,
we got a new batch.
Here we go.
We got a new batch coming in right now. I'm curious to see what Dallas is projecting because, again, they're down to just 8. Let's see how they look. I'm stalling as I'm loading up my lineups. Okay, here we go. You know what? I am surprised that they're not hitting that hard. Let's see. We got Najee for 36, Edwards for 35, Dinwiddie 35, Kristi 34. I feel like it seems a little low as far as the projections. The minutes seem right, but the projections seem a little low to me. Washington 33 minutes. He projects for over 40 fantasy points. It's a pretty good projection. Sort of surprised that they're not hitting as hard as I expected. Washington still kind of rules.
Yeah,
Big Johnson and Vucevic.
That's the other thing. There's a whole set of games that we haven't even talked about. That are going to rate a little bit better than this. So PJ only giving PJ what 31 or no 33. Okay. Yeah, all right. That makes sense.
There's some blowout baked in there too. Like he wouldn't close in a blowout.
Right.
But two of these starters will. No, wait. Yeah. 2 of the starters will have to close. You got to play 5 guys. And they're down to 8.
Yeah, so it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be Hardy, Edwards, Najee, Kai, Kristi, or BJ, right?
Yeah, and I guess Powell. I mean, how much can Dwight Powell play?
I was gonna say I don't think Dwight Powell would be a mopper,
which is weird because he's not a starter either. So, what's the most minutes that Powell has played this season? He played 23, 20 recently. Maybe he can play 25. What are we giving him as far as minutes? 15. Okay.
Yeah, Don Easy made a comment in chat saying, "I'm assuming Kai Jones starts."
I don't know.
I don't agree with that, Easy, but maybe you're right. I think it's gonna be Spencer Dinwiddie starting, but you could be right.
They have like no wings, so they have 8 players, right? They have Powell center, Jones center, Edwards is like a 4 or 5. Their wings are, Hardy could be a 2. Kristi's a 2-3. Najee's like a 3, but they have no wings. It's pretty interesting that just the construction of the guys that they have still standing it's probably not going to end well for the. And now I see why they're Indiana. I'm guessing it's like, let's just rest Halliburton and let him go tomorrow because it's a front half of a back-to-back. They probably don't need him, but okay. Let's move forward. Did we finalize New York and San Antonio? I don't recall. I do like Cat a good bit here, especially if he's going to go reasonably unowned for a big slate.
Andrew Wiggins is out.
Okay, so Hawkins could be interesting. Burks is in for Miami. I'm guessing that's the guy that would get the biggest boost for Miami. We're currently getting 23 minutes. Maybe he gets jumped to like 28, 29. Probably starts. He was actually good last game. At least as far as like rebounds and stuff. His shot wasn't quite there. Okay, we'll get an update on that as well. Do we finish our thoughts on New York and San Antonio?
Yeah, you said that you like Cat. I mean, I like Bridges and McBride the most, but I could see getting the Cat. But yeah, New York's in a fantastic spot here. For sure.
If you were to run somebody back, I think the best run back is Castle. I think there's a spot where he plays like 37, 38 minutes. He stays out of foul trouble and the game stays relatively close. But, if they're playing for something, I don't know if they're playing for it, but he's essentially coasting into the Rookie of the Year. They got to give it to somebody.
Right.
The resume is not amazing, but have you seen the rest of the rookies? It's not great. He's essentially won that one, but we shall move on. Philadelphia, there's again the value plays galore, and we have more. And we kind of teased this game earlier that look, the minutes it's called a projection for a reason, and a lot of some teams, some players are more projectable than others. I'm going to tell you right now, this feels like the toughest game to project. Philadelphia versus OKC, a game in which both these teams want to lose. Philadelphia wants to keep losing for the ping pong balls. Their pick is top 6 protected. If you didn't catch that top of the show, and if they happen to fall out of the top 6, who gets their pick? It's the Thunder. The Thunder get their pick. So the Thunder would love for Philadelphia to win a game. They're currently 12-point favorites despite resting some very relevant players. SGA is out. Hartenstein questionable. Wallace is questionable. Dort is out. Jalen Williams, the good Jalen Williams, J-Dub is out as well. Philadelphia, we got to go through this again. All their guys are out, right? Quentin Grimes just will not stop. He's out of his mind. The usage is out of this world. If his game is not close, I think they just let him go. And this is one of those things where projections, you can't project these things. If the 76ers happen to be up by, 3 or 4 points, 5 points in third, fourth, they're going to start pumping the brakes on Grimes. If they're down by 20, I think they just let him go and have a good time and just rub it in the faces of Dallas just for one more bad trade. And I don't know, but we've seen him just be outrageous. and the usage is outrageous. And who else is going to take shots here? So I don't know how to project that. I see the price for Grimes 8.6, and that seems absurd, but he's certainly paid that off several times. And if this game is not close, they probably give him a fair bit of time to like just have a good time out there. And then the OKC stuff, their second unit players are pretty good if given an opportunity, and the opportunity is there. We're projecting Kason Wallace, currently questionable to start, along with Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, Chet Holmgren, and Hartenstein, which that's the other one. Like, if this game, if there's no shenanigans, Tim, let's say no shenanigans, there's going to be shenanigans. Let's say there wasn't shenanigans. Chet Holmgren's an amazing play. Like, you're telling me I'm going to get 32 minutes at a Chet. I love it. Give it to me. I don't believe he's going to play 32 minutes today. I don't believe it. I don't know what to do with it, though. So you tell me. What is your assessment?
What I would say with this game, is specifically the Thunder side, is to take a stand on it, okay? Because it's a very, very polarizing spot. It's very important to the slate. So if you don't trust the minutes, go way underweight or fade this game. If you do trust it, go way overweight and load up on this game on the Thunder side. So right now, I'm kind of leading to be underweight to fade it, but I could easily get burned. So, if you have a different take, then play the game. Specifically about Grimes, his ceiling is so large that I think that you should be getting exposure to him at least a little bit, like maybe like 4 or 5%, in like a 150 set. Just because his ceiling is so massive. Nothing that I want to get too crazy with, but he's 7.9 on FanDuel, 8,600 on DK. Like he has blown these price tags out of the water. So I think you should be getting exposure to him. I'm not going to be playing him in single entry, but take advantage of your MME and get a little bit of Grimes on the slate. But the hardest team on this entire slate has got to be the Thunder, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no other like really, really chalky, very, very important kind of fragile projection like on this slate. Just outside of, this time of year, everyone's kind of hard to project, but this team seems even harder. So, like you said, if you knew you were getting 30 plus minutes out of Chet Holmgren, I'd be getting well over, 25%. But I agree with you. I don't think you are going to get that many minutes out of him. So right now, I'm kind of leaning on, siding on a fade. But it's very, very hard to analyze. It's very, very hard to project.
Yeah. I still don't know what I'm doing. The other part that makes it even tougher is that they're playing Philly, like the worst defensive basketball right now. Last 15 games, defensive rating, third worst team in basketball. Last 15 games, third worst team as far as rebounding the ball. They have not been good. They're very, very easy to get to in a multitude of angles. I don't know. And it's possible. We saw the Wizards. We've seen several teams do this. We've seen OKC doing this like during the regular season, just for whatever reason. Rotations aren't great, where they just change the starting lineup in the second half. And sometimes guys just might disappear. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know why Hartenstein would play. He's questionable. Wallace is questionable. And again, they also have, the other important thing is, this is not like a Dallas situation where there's 8 guys and 5 have to play. They have, as of right now, 2 could get ruled out. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They have 12. So they might get knocked down to 10, possibly. If Hartenstein's ruled out, I think Jalen Williams looks really good.
I was just gonna bring him up if Hartenstein sits.
And also, like, if goofiness happens, it's probably goofiness leading into Jalen Williams, right? If we happen to lose minutes for Holmgren and Hartenstein, I think Jalen Williams will be one of the benefactors. I'm not going to play Brandon Carlson if he happens to. If they have get that ridiculous.
We have an if then if Hartenstein and Wallace sit. and Williams is the big winner. So yeah.
Yeah, if Hartenstein and Wallace sit, yeah, Jay will have a projection of 32 minutes and 34 DK FanDuel points as far as a median score. Isaiah Joe projects well. Kenrich Williams. I'll also say amongst these guys, like Caruso is probably my least favorite. He's just not a guy, he's not a guy that's going to get a ton of usage. He's not going to be super active. They don't want to run him into the ground in any capacity. So, I would play Wiggins and Kenrich and Isaiah Joe over Caruso.
You know how we were talking about Chet getting minutes?
Yeah.
How would you feel about if Hartenstein sat about Chet?
Is Hartenstein out?
No. I'm just saying if he was out.
I mean, again, I would love him in a first half, a bet on his over stuff, but yeah. I would be nervous watching after the halftime show, we're watching the game and seeing, players come out before the alerts come. I just don't know. Again, I respect the Thunder as a smart organization. They know what's going on here. They know what they're supposed to do. And they don't care about a call from the league, I don't think. It's just weird. It's all weird. Now, maybe I'm being paranoid and nothing happens and they play this game straight, which they did last time. They basically played it straight last time. But the difference is they were not facing Philly, a team they want to win, to get a number one pick. I don't know. But I don't know where I'm at officially either. I will say there's been a lot of stuff as far as pieces falling on this slate that make me less apt to feel forced to play Thunder players, if that makes sense. There are pivots now where I can I don't want to say avoid it necessarily, because I think at least one Thunder guy is going to have a big night, point per dollar, I think. But I don't have a good feel on it. I don't have a good read on it.
It's very different. It's very different if they only have 10 guys. I might load up on them if they only have 10. If they lose Kayson and Hartenstein, I might play Kenrick and maybe some Jalen Williams. So it really depends on that injury.
Here's a question, Tim. This is a good question. Let's say they're down to 10. Hypothetically, they're down to 10. They lose Wallace. They lose Hartenstein, right? They're down to 10. Who is the fifth? If goofiness happens, you got to play 5. Alex Dukas, Dylan Jones, Flagler, Carlson. Those are 4 in the nonsense. Who's the 5th guy that plays alongside the nonsense? You understand what I'm asking?
I would still say, well,
I think it's Isaiah Joe.
I was going to say Jalen Williams, but probably not. It's probably Isaiah Joe.
Oh, yeah. It might be Jalen Williams. Yeah, it's one of those two. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have Brandon Carlson's a big, but I don't know how much they care about that stuff as far as, playing it straight position-wise. But, yeah. Yeah, Horace says doubt the Thunder is worried about Philly's pick. They have so many first-rounders. Well, the 7th overall pick is worth a lot in this upcoming draft, if that's something that falls in their lap. And this could be the difference. And again, they didn't just rest these guys today out of nowhere. So they know what's going on. They do have a plan. Okay, we got 5 more games to get to. We got to pick up the pace a little bit. The next one, oh boy. Speaking of tanking.
The next one is not a catch me up game.
No. Washington and Utah. Washington did not get the memo, or they must have got lectured by the league. I don't know. 235.5 is the total. It's high and it's tight, right? The Jazz are 2.5-point favorites. These are 2 of the top 3 teams in the tankathon. The Jazz have just been a monster. They've lost 10 in a row. They vaulted Washington as far as the tankathon standings. They're both likely to finish, somewhere in the top 3. But, you also want to, if you don't win the lottery, you want to get that 4 spot for sure. As far as who's in and who's out here, Brogdon, of course, is still out. Koulibaly is out. Kaishan George is out. Kispert's done for the year. Middleton's got a rest. They gave him an ankle. I'm bewildered that Jordan Poole is available to play. I could not believe this when I saw this. I don't know what's going on here, but apparently Jordan Poole's playing basketball tonight with his elbow, and Marcus Smart's available. again, flabbergasted when I saw these guys are playing. Utah gets it. Although Kessler is apparently available, he rested enough where he's available to play tonight, but everybody else is out. Everybody else. Steve McKaylick's out. Martin's out. Laurie Markin, personal reasons. I hope everything's okay. John Collins is out. By the way, side note, you want a fun bet tonight, Tim? I bet Walker Kessler over 1.5 made threes at 7-1. They're talking about getting him to start shooting some threes. He's taken 11 3-point attempts in the last 2 games, and he's taken 6 in the first 50. So they're actively trying to get him to shoot threes. Now, I think he was 1 for 11 or something like that. But apparently he can. I mean, he's got to learn. If he learns some threes, by the way, then that would be important to his game. But 7-1, it's probably not going to happen. But I did bet Alec Kessler, former Miami Heat center. No, this is Walker Kessler. Okay. Jordan Poole is playing. That's the weirdest thing to me. Are you as bewildered as I am? I don't understand what's going on, but whatever.
Yeah. I don't understand these teams. I don't know why they do the things that they do, but yeah. Doesn't make sense.
So, do we feel good about AJ Johnson being super chalk? He's still super chalk, right?
Yeah, he is still super chalk. And, a lot of people ask me, like, who would I put, like, 3 of 3 in or must play in single entry? I think it's AJ Johnson today, 3,500. Assuming he starts anyway. If he starts, definitely play him. I'm going to eat that chalk. Yeah, I mean, he's projecting for around 28 fantasy points at 3,500. That's a really, really spectacular projection. Really great matchup as well. So really like him in the spot. Like Washington may or may not be tanking, but AJ Johnson's not tanking. So I mean, he's gonna be out there trying. So I really do like him a lot today. I think he's really, really strong chalk. Tristan Vukcevic at 3,800. He's pretty chalky as well. Definitely kind of like maybe a pivot away from Jalen Williams, I guess. It's going to be interesting who comes in chalkier between those two. They're both projected for fairly high ownership. I don't know. It's going to be close. Depends on if Hartenstein plays or not. But I don't mind Vukcevic at all in any format. I kind of wanted to play some Justin Champagnie, but I don't want to get too much exposure to this Washington team, so probably going to leave him out. I think that's really it. It's Vukcevic and Johnson for me.
Yeah, for sure. Vukcevic is going to be a guy that's going to be getting some backup center minutes. So you're giving 23 minutes right now. I think Holmes is out of the rotation. We gave him a minute, but there's a pretty good chance he's bye. We've kind of talked about that one for a while. So let's see. We're going to go ahead and we're taking a peek at the. I reference it all the time. I talk about it all the time, Tim. The Tankathon. I don't know if you ever go there and then and just peek it and see what's going on at Tankathon.
I had never heard of it until you started bringing it up every show. So yeah, I do check it out now.
I'm always on top of it. And here's what we'll do. You want to sim the lottery? You want to know? I know they don't do this until like a month or two later. You want to know who's actually going to win the lottery? I can tell you right now. Producer Steve, he's pulled it up on the screen. He's going to sim the lottery. Who are you rooting for? Who do you want to win? I'm actively rooting against Utah. I'm actively rooting against, and I know Utah, they're doing the right thing, but they're annoying about it. But who do we want to? We want Miami. We want Miami to win the lotto. That's what we want, right? For sure.
Yeah, obviously.
Let's go ahead, Tim. Let's hit the sim button and let's see who wins the lottery. New Orleans. Look at that. New Orleans, Brooklyn, Washington, Chicago, Charlotte, and Philly got the 6th spot. So Philly still have their pick. How do you feel about New Orleans? That means that's not a good spot for Cooper. I don't think. I mean, he's going to get injured, right? That's just the rules if you play for New Orleans.
That would be a really strong team. Once it if he went there.
This New Orleans team was supposed to be good, like when they're healthy. Right. It never really happened. It seemed like they were coming on a year or so ago, but Let's give it one more sim. Let's give it one more spin and see if we can do better. That didn't count.
You could do this all night, couldn't you, Dean?
Miami got the 2 spot. There you go. And Charlotte takes the 1.
You're gonna sim this until Miami wins.
Hey, I'll take the 2. I'll just pause right there. If we can somehow get the 2 spot, that would be incredible. I would be thrilled with that for sure. All right. Any other thoughts as far as Washington and Utah? I don't think
I want anything from the Utah side of this game.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
And it was pointed out in chat, and I think I mentioned earlier, we've seen before where Poole started and Middleton started, and they just got rug pulled. They took a shower at halftime or whatever, and never came back. So I wouldn't play those guys, to be very clear. There's no chance I'm playing those guys. Middleton's not playing at all. There's no chance I'd play Poole. I do not trust his minutes for the life of me. Even if he starts, there's a chance they go bye-bye at halftime. They've already done that once. Would not be surprised if they do that again. Okay, let's move on. There's still 4 more games. Some of these are quick, I believe. The Bulls and the Suns. I think we have Giddey officially ruled in, right? I heard somebody here. I saw somebody in chat say that. Oh, no, he actually said himself earlier today that he was in, right? So Ball is out. Tosuma is out for the season. Giddey in. The Suns, no Grayson Allen, no Beal, no Plum Dog. He's out with the quad. And, good matchup here against Chicago for Phoenix. They're running their studs into the ground, playing a ton of minutes, and barely hanging on to like the 9 or 10 spot, wherever they're at. How do we feel about the Suns and the Bulls? Giddey being back, I think mucks a lot of the players on Chicago, obviously. I thought Tyus Jones earlier in the day was kind of interesting. Playing against his brother, right, on the other side. Trey Jones, little brother versus brother, narrative streets. How do we have the Bulls and the Suns?
Yeah, I was getting to a lot of Devin Booker and Sims, actually, at 9,200. I really don't mind him as a GBP play. Getting to a little bit of Ryan Dunn also. So I don't mind him. He's really showing up a ton in Sims right now. And that's with a lot of this news already in there. So he's still popping. Kevin Durant's popping. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see here. I don't want to get to more than one Phoenix player, but I think if you want to get a little bit different, I think Ryan Dunn is fine for cheap, and for spend up, it would be Devin Booker for me. But Sims does like Durant quite a bit. This is a good spot. I probably don't want to completely fade this spot in single entry, and I certainly wouldn't completely fade it in 3 max either. This is a really good spot against Chicago.
I would just point out on Durant, we've seen 4 bad games in a row, like unusable games in a row. And there was
so you think that he's just done? Like he's just done for the season? He's just not trying?
We've seen him fighting with his coach a couple times.
Yeah.
If there's one team that probably doesn't really want to mess with the play-in nonsense, it's probably Phoenix. Probably doesn't want to be there. He's a competitor, and I respect Durant's trying, whatever. It's not a knock, but like this team it's over. It's just not happening. Massively disappointing for the season. I think he might be dealing with something injury-wise. His usage was down to 20% last game versus Toronto. Just, I would 100% play. You said Booker. I very much like Booker over Durant, and projections aren't going to capture that stuff as far as him. Maybe he's dealing with something. And again, that's just speculation, but there was something thrown out. I think it was his coach who kind of suggested that he's dealing with some things. I'm not going there. If Durant beats me, what's a ceiling Durant game either? He's really got to put up like 40 points. So it's a no for me.
What about Ryan Dunn?
He's fine. I like Tyus Jones more, but the positionality might make me play Dunn.
That's my problem.
Yeah,
I don't mind Jones either. I just can't imagine wasting a guard spot on him. Whereas
that's the tricky part.
Dunn fits that small forward, power forward spot. So
he's got to make some threes.
Yeah,
that's what he's got to do. But I think it's okay. It's fine. If it's your last guy in, that kind of thing, sure. The Cavs and the Kings, 232.5 is the total. The Kings are 5-point dogs here. Cleveland back half of back-to-back. For that, they are resting Garland. As far as Sacramento, geez, the Sabonis thing, how they handled that so poorly. They rushed him back twice. Now they say he's out for 10 games or so, 10 days with his, at least 10 days with his ankle. I'll tell you, man, we saw Zubac really get loose versus the Bigs last night for Cleveland. He dropped 20 plus, I think, at points. I'm not saying Joval is Zubac. He's a similar player, right? They're going to need his size, right? Versus Allen and Mobley and the Bigs on Cleveland. He's a really interesting large field play because I can see Valanciunas playing 34, 35 minutes. Now, the matchup isn't good, but maybe he overcomes it.
Yep.
I think that's an interesting flyer as far as tournament play in this game. Overall,
we saw him put up 50 against Denver in 31 minutes.
He's flashed that. He's definitely flashed it.
Yeah.
I think he's a really interesting tournament. I don't think I'm going to get there, but it wouldn't be if I'm playing 10 lineups. I might have a share. But that's.
I think you're right that if you're playing 10, you should go with one Joval. I think that's a good call.
We currently have him at like 1%.
Yeah,
that's probably where he lands. And we're also giving him 26 minutes, which is, I think he can play more than that. I'm not saying
he definitely could. He definitely could. I think he could definitely play more than
that. We're giving, I guess, Laravia 22 minutes, Lyles 18, but like, I think they might need him a little bit more because of the opponent for Cleveland. But
yeah,
I'm probably not playing him. But if I was playing a tunnel, if he was playing 150, if I'm playing 150, he's definitely in my pool, and it doesn't take a lot to get over. A dash, a pinch, a sprinkling of Joval. Otherwise, I don't like this game. Do you like this game?
I really have no interest in this game. I like the Joval call. Really on the Cleveland side, though, not a ton of interest. I don't think it's a very, very fantasy friendly game. I guess you could get to some Mitchell, but maybe some Mobley. But really, I don't have much interest at all.
2 more games to go. Our poll right now, nothing's really decided. Are you making a March Madness bracket? That's the poll here on the YouTube. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Hit that like button. 56% say yes, they're going to be making a March Madness bracket. And you know what could help you out? You know what we got for you? The shot quality team, they've cooked up something special for the NCAA tournament, the March Madness Primer. It's a comprehensive betting guide with actionable insights into all 68 tournament teams. I guess there's not 68 anymore. The primer is powered by shot quality data and includes features like player profiles, rankings, key metrics, live betting charts, much more. Every purchase of a monthly or annual shot quality sub is going to come with a complimentary primer. It's free. The data and analysis normally cost $39 and change, but you will get it for free when you sign up. Okay, 2 more games to go. Johnny Furphy just got a projection. Get excited about that. 2 points for him. Memphis and Portland, 236 is the total. High and tight. Memphis is a 5-point favorite here on the road. Ja is out once again. Gigi Jackson, of course, still in the G League. Oh, didn't realize that. Pippen's he's got a wrist, so he's questionable. Lamar Stevens also out with a shoulder. Santi Aldama officially questionable. Maybe we get him coming back for the Grizz. He's got a calf. As far as Portland, Ayton feels like he's done for the year, but you never know. Jeremy Grant never plays this time of year. He's doubtful. Kamara is questionable. Anybody else have notes? Well, Robert Williams, the Time Lord, he's still out as well. Memphis and Portland, what do you got?
Yeah, nobody really on the Memphis side for me. I wasn't getting to some Simons and some Henderson early, but now those guys have fallen quite a bit. I don't mind any Avia in this spot against Memphis. I think he's an interesting GPP play, but not getting into a ton of this game in general. Memphis does have a 120 total, which is pretty decent, but still, just the way that their rotations run, they're too healthy. I have no interest in Memphis, even with Morant out.
What if Pippen sits? And
I was just thinking that like maybe you can get some Luke Kennard if Pippen sits, but I don't think he's like a priority.
No,
It's he's kind of a weird price tag. Bad positions too. Kennard's fine, I guess, in the shooting guard spot, but I don't love him even if Pippen sits. We're seeing Bane like finally, having some really nice ceiling games, but I don't really love this matchup. So I'm out on Bane and Kennard.
Yeah, that'll happen when you are 7 of 7 from the field from 3. He was 7 of 7 last game from 3, and the game before that he was 4 of 5 from 3. So some quick UCF math. He's 11 of his last 12 in his last 2 games. Probably
it's weird to say, but I'd still rather play Booker at that same price and position. Even though Bane's been so much better.
And you mentioned Avdia. It was just weird. He only played 27 minutes last game. Was in foul trouble. I don't know why. He didn't close. I don't think he closed. I was watching a good chunk of that. It's kind of weird how his minutes were sort of jerked around a little bit. They haven't been like that of late, but last game, that's how it went down. Denver and the Lakers, again, that we talked about this top of the show. The hammer is amazing here. The potential for a dual-pronged hammer with, running the friends at each other, Luka and Joker, the 2 best projected players on the slate by, 10 points, right? They both have a projection around 61, 62. The next highest player is Cade Cunningham on DK with 49. So they have a projection more than 10 or 11 points more than everybody else. Of course, Joker's projection could go to 0 because he's currently questionable. I think he plays. It's national TV. It's a game that matters in the standings as far as taking on the Lakers. Joker questionable. Jamal Murray is questionable. Aaron Gordon is officially probable. Christian Brown, he's questionable too. We saw everybody ruled out last game, and Aaron Gordon and Russ had an old school triple dub. They won the game against, who did they beat last game? It was an upset. Golden State. Yeah, it was against Golden State. Took down the Warriors with a lot of their key pieces out. Of course, no LeBron still for the Lakers. No Hachimura. Trey Jameson's questionable. Kleber out. We have yet to see him appear for the Lakers, but man, it looks awesome for Joker and Luka. Of course, if Joker doesn't go and like Murray doesn't go, once again, Gordon's going to look great. He looks fine as is right now. Russ, who's expensive, but he would look really good if all those guys are out once again. Another revenge game for him. How do you feel about Denver and the Lakers?
Yeah, so the only problem that I have with playing Luka and Jokic together is you really need to have Oklahoma, right, on your team. So that's really tough because if you just go Luka and Jokic with AJ Johnson and like a Ryan Dunn, you have to fill in with other value pieces. So you're going to get to a ton of OKC, which I don't necessarily love here. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just not sure I want to do that because I don't really know if I love OKC. So I know that I love AJ Johnson, but so that's the only kind of like issue that I have with Luka and Jokic, unless more value.
You love that though, right? Just other things you might love. You love playing Joker and Luka. You love that?
Yeah, I mean it's only Luka. It's only Luka in the first optimal, but if you switch to lock in Jokic and Luka, it's only a 5-point difference. So it's pretty close to optimal in the projections to play both Luka and Jokic together. I would love to do that. So it's definitely something I'm going to be looking into. Like I said, though, we are still waiting on Thunder news, so that could end up changing my opinion on OKC. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a very, very intriguing late night hammer.
Javier in chat, by the way, says I got both without any OKC, but I happen to have 2 Washington. They're also talking about Kessler, and I didn't even brush off Kessler. I think he's really a good play if they let him play. We've seen him have some monster ceiling games. I just don't know how much Utah is going to let him play.
Somebody in chat also brought up Ty Jerome, who I should have. I don't mind that large field GPP play.
You like Ty Jerome better than Tyus Jones?
Isn't there a pretty big price difference between those two?
I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Ty Jerome is 4.5 on DK. Tyus Jones is 4.4, and they essentially have the same projection.
Okay. I think it's pretty close. I mean, I kind of like Ty Jerome more.
I kind of like Tyus Jones more, but I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
But those are viable pivots to OKC. Is my point. Whether it be Ty Jerome or Tyus Jones. Like,
what is our Hawkins projection now? 29 minutes. That's what we kind of threw out there. 29 minutes for Hawkins, around a 24 median projection at 4-1. If there's a problem, he's a 7:30 game, and if we might get Oklahoma news exactly 7:30, right? You never really know when that's going to go down, but we definitely want to, if we can, all ties go to the later game, right?
Yeah,
that's our general rules. What are the sims showing? Have you run some stuff? Has it been updated? Anything new, changing? Anything that's kind of
it has been updated. I mean, still flooded with OKC getting even more Cade Cunningham right now. Cade's actually in our first optimal also on RG, and then getting to some Cat. You talked about Cat, getting to quite a bit of Cat and Sims as well. The highest Sim player is Mikal Bridges, who's somebody that I really like today. But he's tough to play if you go Luka Jokic. He's more of a balanced build type player.
Apparently, we're losing likes, according to producer Steve. One of our likes went away. I don't like the bag and grovel, but like the likes are pretty embarrassing on the screen. I don't know if you heard that noise there in the background. By the way, of course, today's the day of my dynasty baseball league. Our draft is picking up, so I'm sure you're curious. Who did Dean just draft in the 4th round of his dynasty league? Cam Smith. We got Cam Smith from the Houston Astros. Get excited. Get excited. Baseball season just a week away. I know Crunch Time, they're not a week away. They're just a phone call away, just a little segue away. Before we bring them in, though, who's breaking the slate? A lot of potential options here, Tim.
Very tough.
Give me one high and give me one low.
I'm going to stick with Mikal Bridges. I don't think he's going to be super chalky.
No.
And then, I was just going to say AJ Johnson. He's too chalky, but I do like him.
No.
Yeah. Man. I'll go Vukcevic.
Yeah, I like him too. Lots of news to be coming in. If it's not coming in on Crunch Time, of course, stay tuned. If you have if you have access to premium, keep refreshing the lineup HQ as the news is coming in throughout the night, because there's 4 games later on that start at 10 o'clock on the East Coast, and Denver, of course, is something we got to keep our eye on. That said, let's go ahead. Let's do it. Let's segue to Crunch Time. We got Neil, Kristi, Roth. Crunch Time right now. What's up, Roth? How are things?
Things are good. I want to know your first pick. I don't care about your 4th round. I want to know who your first rounder was.
Oh, you know what? So my team is not that great. It's a rebuilding year for us. Tim will be excited to learn. I don't know if Tim's a Red Sox fan or not. Maybe he's just a fake Boston fan. But, I have the 2 stud rookies for Boston, Campbell and Anthony. We're going really young. Campbell and Anthony are 2 studs, 2 of the top 10 prospects in baseball. And it looks like Campbell is going to probably make the big leagues because Vaughn Grissom is going to be sent to AAA. I know that people are really excited about this, but I wouldn't volunteer this, of course. The people wanted to know. You asked.
Yeah. So, to be fair, I thought we were talking about a normal draft, not a dynasty. Like, it's way less fun as a dynasty. I thought you were going to tell me like Ohtani or someone exciting, not whoever the hell these people are.
He homered. I was going to say in the 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, he homered. I don't know if you saw that. Shout out to Ohtani.
He does that.
He's still good at baseball, it turns out. Still very, very good at the baseball. There's a ton for you guys to go through, so we probably should step aside and get out of here and make way. 11 games, a lot of more news to be dropping. So myself and Tim, we do appreciate y'all hanging out. Do not go anywhere. 39 minutes of Crunch Time. You got Neil, you got Kristi, you got Roth, myself, and Tim. We thank you. Hit that like button before you step aside and get out of here. And don't go anyway. It's Crunch Time. Starting right now.
It is indeed. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. Crunch time. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz joining us. We got Neil in the plaid as per usual. What up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, baseball is back. I have not been watching. I saw Justin Steele pitch last night. Not his best game, but cool to see baseball starting up again.
And these are real games. Like these are.
This does not count in the standings.
Okay.
This is still spring training, but cool to see it starting at least.
All right, and I don't really care if they're still fake games. Yeah, I'll wait till the real deal. We got Kristi in the house. Speaking of the real deal, dressed to impress. Kristi just coming straight from work. Got the blazer on, looking good, feeling good. How you feel about the slate?
You know, it's a big slate. There's a ton of value. It's a really interesting slate, so it's gonna be fun to break it down here with Neil. But I think there's a lot of different directions we can go. But I like it. It's a good slate.
Okay, did see someone in the chat say this slate is low-key sick or something along those lines. I can't find the exact wording. The bottom line is I think people do enjoy this slate because there is some news, some value, some spend-ups, kind of a lot going on. So with that said, Kristi, can you give me what we're waiting on? Is there some game-breaking news that we need to know before we build our teams?
Yeah, we're starting to get quite a bit of information, but I know we still have a questionable tag on Jokic, which obviously is a big one, I believe, don't we yet, Neil?
Yeah,
I think that's kind of a big one. Expected to play, but that is definitely one because I think with all the value that's out there, it's easy to get some builds with Luka and with Jokic in there with all that value in there. So that's one that I'm kind of waiting on that I think is important.
Okay, good to know. Neil, anything else that you're like, I'm seeing about this because this determines my build?
I think it's mostly starting lineups, more so than injury news at this point. It's just a lot of there are so many teams that are tanking. Thunder tanking today. They're not tanking overall, obviously, but they want to lose today. So it's just it's a very confusing slate from the standpoint of a lot of teams wanting to lose. I think it's more about the starting lineups than injuries. We also have Jamal Murray is also questionable for the Nuggets. I think it's the same players that were missed yesterday's game. But I think the general expectation is that was just they didn't care that much about that game. They care more about this game against the Lakers. So I think they're going to play, but yeah, that is definitely could be impactful. I don't know. I feel like there were a couple others. News has been coming in so fast, and I'm like, what is still left? I'm sure we'll get to it as we go throughout the show, though.
Okay. Well, we will do exactly that. I do want to clear up the games in Japan do count.
Yeah, I did not realize that. So spring training following the games, and it's very confusing for me.
That's what it blew my mind. That I was like, so when does the season start? A week before it actually starts? It fake starts in Japan. The whole thing is very odd, but kind of cool, I guess. Just weird timing wise. But we're not here to talk baseball. Thank God. We will be in a week. But for now, we're here to talk about basketball, which is my preferred sport. So let's dive into it. Steve says, the reason they've got baseball in Japan is a week ahead of us. He says, it's close. That may be the answer. Yeah. Let's dive into this slate. Let's start at FanDuel. Kristi, let's start at point guard and we'll work our way down. What are you doing at point on FanDuel, Kristi?
Yeah, so I think Luka is really the big play. I know that Noto has him as a core tag for sure. LeBron's out, great matchup, and there's just a ton of value to get to him. So I just think he's a great core piece for really for cash and for GPPs. So he's somebody that I'm taking a look at for sure. And then there's some value pieces that are really popping up. We got word that Halliburton is out. So we've got Andrew Nembhard that's popping in quite a few optimals, and he's just 5,400. So I think he makes a fine play. Jared Butler was hitting a lot of the optimals earlier. I still think he's a good play just because there's so many injuries with Philadelphia that he just makes a nice play, and he's had some decent upside. He's still just 5,700. Anthony Simons is someone I was getting to a little bit earlier. He's 7K, but it's a really great matchup, a pace-up matchup against Memphis. I think he's a decent mid-range option, so I like him quite a bit. I think you could also go to a guy like TJ McConnell, who gets a big boost too with Halliburton being out. And very cheap there. We are still waiting. I think we still have a questionable tag on like Kason Wallace in the OKC. There's going to be a lot of value in that game, just with SGA out, Williams out. So there's going to be quite a few guys that we're focused on there. So he could make a good GPP play, especially if he's in. So those are a few of the guys I'm looking at. I would also probably throw Miles McBride in there. He's someone that always goes a little bit overlooked, but again, with Brunson out and all of the minutes that the Knicks get, he makes a very interesting play at point guard as well.
Okay. Neil, before I get your thoughts, Kristi, do your coworkers know, like when you go to work, that you are one of the best daily fantasy sports players in the world? Or is that something that just like hasn't got brought into the corporate world?
Some of them do. Yeah, some of them do. It's kind of slowly come out over the years. And so, yeah.
Okay. It just seems like such a dichotomy to hear you talk about these games and see you dressed that way coming from work is like, it's blowing my mind. Okay, Neil, you look exactly as you should for one of the best players in the world.
I was going to ask, do I fit the bill? Okay.
Flannel, beard, hat. Yeah, you got it. What are we doing at point guard?
Yeah, so I've just run on FanDuel again. I don't think I'm playing any on FanDuel tonight, so I just kind of ran a preliminary crunch to see what I'm getting, and then I'll see if there's anybody that I want to get to that I'm not currently. Currently, my highest exposed is Tyus Jones, which I don't love it because he didn't start the last game. He did end up playing big minutes and played really well, but still like a little bit concerned. Like I don't want him to be my highest owned point guard. He played 27 minutes, but off the bench yesterday. I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned about, or I guess 2 days ago, about playing Tyus Jones when he's not starting. So I probably would, if I were playing FanDuel, I would, dock him a little bit to make sure he was not my highest owned. Luka is my second highest owned, and I don't have any point guard that came in over 50%. So it just goes to show that there's no like extreme value at point guard on FanDuel today. But yeah, got to a lot of Luka, Donovan Mitchell, no Darius Garland there, so Mitchell's going to look a little bit better. Spencer Dinwiddie, nice matchup. They're shorthanded in Dallas, looks good. Kason Wallace, I am getting to as of now, still have him in, obviously. Tyler Herro, Josh Giddey. I'm not getting into anybody else in double digits. I am getting into a little bit of Bub Carrington, Nemhard, Scoot Henderson looks pretty good. Just I want to scroll just a little bit to see if there's anybody else that Westbrook could get a bump if Murray or Joker end up out. He's somebody we would have to think about swapping onto. Yeah, I'm just scrolling. I don't see anybody else immediately jumping up that I feel the need to force into my lineups.
Okay, well, let's go to shooting guard. Neil, what are you doing there?
Aaron Wiggins, I wrote him up. I do have some concerns about Aaron Wiggins. Just want to note that like he's like pretty volatile in his scoring, and OKC missing several players. So he's sort of the type of player that I would rather play. Like he's kind of ownership dependent, and he's kind of getting a lot of ownership. So I'm a little bit more cold on it than I wrote him up as a play that I really like, and now I'm like, I don't know that I like it at ownership if he's going to be significantly owned. I still think he's playable. Like I would not fade him. I think he's a strong play. He could put up a huge game. We've seen him put up a 66-point game at one point this year. I just want to note that there is a lot of volatility there, and he's getting into ownership. But currently, Aaron Wiggins, my highest owned shooting guard. Jaden Hardy getting to a lot there, only 3,900 on FanDuel. Again, they're missing several players. We'll have to look out for the starting lineup there for Dallas, because that'll kind of affect my level of confidence in some of their players. AJ Johnson looks great on both sites for the Wizards. Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Spencer Dinwiddie, Kason Wallace, Desmond Bane. I'm getting to Tumani Kamara, who I believe is questionable, so that's another one we'll have to keep an eye on. Mikal Bridges looks good against San Antonio. Worst defense in the league over the past 10 games. Tyler Herro, Josh Giddey, and that's it for me as far as double digits at shooting guard.
Whew, that was a lot. Okay, Kristi, a lot of options at shooting guard. Give me some of your favorites.
Yeah, I'm mostly looking to pay down here. I know Noto has got AJ Johnson tagged. I think that's a great play. As you can see, there's quite a few experts that have him tagged. I think he's great. He's just 4,200. We have him projected for 30 minutes. So I like that. Neil mentioned Jaden Hardy at just 3,900. And Dallas just doesn't have much. We're still waiting for the starting lineup, but we've got him projected for 28 minutes. He's been a great fantasy point producer when given the opportunity, so I certainly like him. So I'm kind of looking to pay down, likely with a couple of probably those two guys. But other guys too, I'm looking at, I like Mikal Bridges a lot, and you can play him at small forward too. Just with Brunson out, great matchup like Neil mentioned. So I like him. Shadon Sharp, just 6K. I think he's great too. Again, you can play him at small forward. Aaron Wiggins is another guy I like too. He's a little more volatile, like Neil mentioned, but at the same time, he's had some big upside where he's put up some 40 fantasy point games. So certainly like that option as well. Jordan Goodwin, I think is fine too. I think he's going to go. He was popping in some optimals earlier in the day, but I think he's a fine pivot too, and he's very, very cheap. Luke Kennard too. Again, uptick in minutes with Morant out, so I like that. And you could throw Ricky Council in there too. I mentioned Jared Butler at the point guard position, but I do think he's interesting. He does have upside. He's a little more volatile too. But again, Philadelphia has a lot of injuries in there. Yeah, those are mostly the guys I'm looking at. But like I said, really looking to pay down here.
Okay, let's go to small forward. I do want to note that Levine was just ruled out due to, I think, like personal issues or something of the sort. Didn't seem injury related. Kristi, your immediate thoughts with Levine out?
Yeah, probably doesn't change a whole lot for me. It is a big slate. So probably doesn't change a lot. I'll maybe take a look at it here too as we go on and see if anything changes. But
Sure.
Yeah, just because I'm looking to pay down, you can play him, of course, at small forward too. So, but I wasn't getting to him earlier, and I don't think it really changes anything on the Sacramento side.
Okay, well, let's just run through your favorite plays at small forward then, Kristi.
Yeah. So small forward, going to see a lot of the same guys here. Aaron Wiggins again is popping. He's really in a lot of our optimals. Mikal Bridges, Shadon Sharp. Shadon Sharp has actually shown some big upside too. And he's down to 6K, so I like that price tag. Really good mid-range option for us. I would say Desmond Bane is someone that's pretty interesting too. Good matchup. And again, Ja Morant is out. So there's certainly ways to get to him because there is so much cheap value. Anthony Edwards too is always a guy I like to get to in tournaments, especially at low ownership. He's been playing really well lately. Really great matchup against New Orleans. And he's not garnering too much ownership at the moment. So I like that for a tournament option. Yeah, I think those are largely the guys. DeMar DeRozan too. I know earlier in the day, he was another guy that was really popping as somebody that looked pretty good, but he's not pulling in a lot of optimals now. So I think you could take a look at a guy like him, but Mikal Bridges is probably one of my favorites. And Aaron Wiggins, I think, is a good cash and GPP play as well.
Okay, Kristi, I'm seeing Franz Wagner as our highest owned small forward. Why? I guess there's
I know.
Paolo's still in. It's not a great matchup.
I agree.
Houston, right?
I agree. That is one that I just don't agree on with the projections. And he's been popping a ton in optimals. And earlier we had like Chet Holmgren popping too, and now Wagner is. But that's one where I'm definitely not buying into it and looking to get different.
Okay, good note. Neil, your thoughts at small forward?
Yeah, again, Aaron Wiggins getting to a ton. Devin Booker. Najee Marshall is my third highest owned small forward again for Dallas. They're just shorthanded. And I gave a little bit of a boost. Man, I apparently boost too much on FanDuel because I went from getting to, I think I had 0 Ant and I gave him just a tiny little bump. And now I'm at 27%. So I need to adjust something there. But I did, Kristi noted it, and it's a nice matchup with New Orleans. Maybe comes out with a little bit of extra fire after that really tough loss against the Pacers. I was at that game, by the way. It was awful. Just they kept on blowing huge leads. They couldn't make a damn shot. So I'm a little bit hopeful that Ant's going to come out with a little bit of extra fire tonight. And 9,400 totally fine against the Pels. Kevin Durant, I'm getting to a bit. Great matchup against Chicago. He's been playing a little bit hurt. I don't totally love it, but I'm getting to some. Shadon Sharp, another player that, as Kristi was talking, I gave him a little bit of a boost. Now I'm at 25%, which is a bit much, I think. But I want to make sure I get a little bit in there. I am getting into a bit of Franz Wagner, Tumani Kamara, who again I think is questionable. Desmond Bane, Paolo, Mikal Bridges, and that's it for me as far as double digits. DeMar DeRozan is I already have 8%, and now should get some kind of a boost with Zach LaVine out. So I think he probably will be double digits also.
Sure. Okay, good stuff. Let's go to power forward. Neil, what are you doing there?
Yeah, power forward. Yeah, okay. So I'm getting to a ton of Chet Holmgren. I don't like it. I don't think I want to play much Chet Holmgren. I am concerned about the motivations there for OKC because they, if they lose this game, Philadelphia gets a win. They need Philadelphia to be outside of the top 6 because they get Philadelphia has, or they have Philadelphia's pick, but it's top 6 protected. So they need Philadelphia to win games. So they are very much motivated to lose this game. So I don't really want to be playing.
I didn't realize that is absolutely twisted. That is so bizarre, but okay. Continue.
It's really weird motivations in this game because both teams should want to lose this game. So yeah, I'm getting to a lot of Chet Holmgren that I would adjust that for sure. If I was playing FanDuel, I don't know if I'd zero him out, but I'd try to get much, a pretty small percentage. Kenrich Williams, I like better. He's 3,900. He, I don't think is hurt by the motivations of OKC, maybe only benefits if they want to play their better players less. Najee Marshall, Kevin Durant, Alex Sarr, Franz Wagner, Pascal Siakam looks better with no Halliburton tonight. Paolo, again, DeMar DeRozan, he's only going to look better with no Zach LaVine. Nobody else double digits for me. I do think Josh Hart is pretty intriguing just from a matchup standpoint, could play big minutes. Trying to see if there's anybody else who looks great. Kessler Edwards, again, if you just want to play some of those Dallas guys, looks okay, should play tonight. Julius Randle at 7,100 looks pretty good to me. We have Rudy Gobert back, so he doesn't really stand out, but I would try to get to some in a 150 set. Al Filipowski, if he ends up getting the start, will look pretty good, but we will need that Utah starting lineup. Aaron Gordon looks okay at 5,800. I think that's it as far as who I'm really interested in.
Okay. I do want to note Mavs starting lineup came out. Dinwiddie, Marshall, Washington, Kessler Edwards, and Kai Jones are starting.
Kai Jones, okay.
So I'm curious as we start talking about big men, Kristi, maybe that will come into play. But first, let's go through the 4 and what you like there.
Yeah. So a lot of the same guys. I know I will kind of swing back to, I think DeRozan is a little bit more attractive, like you said, with LaVine out. Definitely popping a little bit more, especially Sabonis was out. He was coming in at low ownership, but definitely someone to take note of. I am a little bit worried too about Chet Holmgren. Neil talked about some of the motivations there. He's right in the same price range as Franz Wagner. And I do think Josh Hart is an interesting, more of a contrarian play. Just because that matchup is really, really good. He's been a little bit more volatile lately. However, he has good upside too. And I think that's a good pivot from Wagner and Chet Holmgren. So I like that quite a bit. Julius Randle, I like him too. He has a really great matchup as well against New Orleans. Naz Reid, I think, is a very interesting tournament play. His price has really come down. He's at 6K. He was up to, when Randle was out, he was in the 7K range for a while. So I think he's going to go definitely overlooked. So certainly like that. Pascal Siakam, I think, is popping into some of our lineups here too. And I think that's a great one with Halliburton out. So don't mind that. And then I know Noto talked a little bit about Ryan Dunn being kind of a interesting GPP play. He's just 4,600. You've got Beal and Plumlee out. So I do like that. Talked about Franz Wagner. I'm just not getting to as much as the field is with him being the highest owned guy. I just don't really get it on a slate this big. I just think there's so many other ways to go. So those are largely the guys that I'm kind of getting to. Just trying to see if I'd mentioned anybody else. I think that's it.
Okay, well, let's pivot right into center and talk to me about your favorite plays there.
Yeah, so center obviously is interesting because we're still waiting on the Jokic news. And I do think that is super interesting, getting both Jokic and Luka and then playing a bunch of value. So kind of waiting to hear on that, but I do like that. I do think guys I'm interested in, Jalen Williams is popping in a lot of our optimals right now just because he's 4,300. And again, SGA and Williams are out. So he's one of those value pieces that's, looking pretty good. Guys that I'm kind of interested in though, like Miles Turner, I think is super interesting. He definitely has good upside. He's just 6,300 and, we've seen some big ceilings from him and I like it with Halliburton out too. So I think there's a little more usage to go around there. Karl Anthony Towns, I always think is a fantastic tournament play. Again, those Knicks guys just get big minutes and a lot of upside there. Klingon too, I think is going to go a little bit overlooked. He's kind of in that mid-tier range. We do have him projected for 28 minutes, but boy, we've seen him have some big games. He's just 6,100. I think, both he, Miles Turner, Rudy Gobert are all in that mid-tier range, and I think they're all really pretty interesting plays. And then last, kind of just mentioned Chet Holmgren again. I think is fine. Don't love it, but I am a little bit worried about his minutes with their motivations there. So I'd rather get to guys like Miles Turner at lower ownership, paying all the way up to Jokic, and then taking some shots too, like on Jalen Williams if you needed some of the value.
Can we talk about Kai Jones? I'm seeing we've got him projected 28 minutes here, 3-9.
Yep. Yeah. I was just kind of waiting to see that too. Yeah, absolutely. We have so much value tonight that I think, again, he'd be a good pivot away from like Jalen Williams. And they are so shorthanded that I do think it's fine. I really do, especially with him in the starting lineup now.
Yeah. Okay. Neil, your thoughts at center?
Yeah, I'm just running a new crunch as we speak. But yeah, let's see. At center, coming out to, I'm getting to a lot of Jalen Williams. Again, just he benefits from OKC potentially not wanting to play Hartenstein and Holmgren as many minutes. I think Jalen Williams could benefit in a big way. He's only 4,300. Alex R, Donovan Klingon, Miles Turner. I gave a boost to Karl Anthony Towns. Just love the matchup for Towns. He's the past 2 games he's played 30 and 31 minutes, and that's in a blowout, and he fouled out. He's still playing over 30 minutes.
So he's ready.
So if he does not, yeah. So if he does not foul out, I think we could see 40 from Cat in ideal matchup against the Spurs. I'm not getting to a ton of Joker, and that's something that I would kind of force in a little bit more. You can only play one center on FanDuel, but he's projected for very, very little ownership, and he's Joker. I mean, he's just like, no Anthony Davis there anymore. He could just smash. Kai Jones, I'm actually getting into very little Kai Jones currently. I think he's certainly playable at 3,900. And I don't see anybody else that I need to be forcing it, I don't think.
Okay. I got to talk before we kick it to DraftKings, some good stuff going down. Of course, if you're into all of the DFS sports here, you got to check out this sweet deal. Limited time, first month of Combo Pro, $79.99. You know the drill. It's only $15 more than PJ. It's only $5 more than NBA Premium, but it also includes content for March Madness. So we got a lot going on here. Now is a great time to take advantage of RG Combo Pro. Also, the Shot Quality team cooking up something special for the NCAA tournament. Their March Madness Primer. It is a comprehensive betting guide, actionable insight into all 68 teams. The primer is powered by Shot Quality data. It includes features like player profiles, rankings, live betting charts, a whole lot more. Every purchase of a monthly or annual Shot Quality subscription comes with that complimentary primer, a data analysis that normally costs you $39.99, but you're getting it free if you sign up for Shot Quality now. So with the big dance going on, you got some added value. Make sure you're signing up through those links. Let's kick it over to DraftKings. And of course, we got to start things off, Neil, in a little point guard talk there on DK.
Yeah, point guard. Sorry, I'm adjusting things because I'm still getting to a lot of Chet and guys I don't want, but I can tell doesn't affect point guard that much. AJ Johnson looks awesome for Washington. Should see big minutes tonight against Utah. Great matchup. He's only 3,500. Just looks awesome. Devin Booker looks good. Cason Wallace again. I think he's still questionable, but I have him in currently and looks good. Nice matchup against Philadelphia. Keon Ellis is the one who got the big bump for me. Actually, I ran one more crunch on FanDuel right as we were finishing, and I was getting to a ton of Keon Ellis. So he apparently gets the big bump with no Zach LaVine for the Kings. Luka getting to a fair amount. Malik Monk also gets the bump there with no Zach LaVine. Tyus Jones, again, that's not entirely contingent on him starting, but I would feel I don't love it. Like on a slate with a lot of value at 4,400 if he's not starting. I guess it is a great matchup, but yeah, don't totally love that. Cade Cunningham, Stephon Castle, Donovan Mitchell, Tyler Herro, getting to double digits of all of those guys. I'm currently not getting double digits of Jaden Hardy. I think I'm going to give him a little bit of bump because I want to get a fair amount of. I guess he's not starting, so there is still some concern there, but I still think I want to get double digits probably there. Spencer Dinwiddie is starting. Great matchup with the Pacers. Looks pretty good at 5,600. I think that's it. Westbrook again would, well, he's 7,000. He'd look okay with if we do get Murray or Joker out. I think both are going to play though.
Yeah. Okay, Kristi, your thoughts at point on DK?
Yeah, a lot of them are pretty similar to over on FanDuel, but again, AJ Johnson, I think again, you kind of lock him in again, projected for 30 minutes at just such a cheap price tag, makes a lot of things work for us. Luka is my favorite spend up on the slate. Again, no LeBron, great matchup and kind of that late night hammer. So those are two guys that I'm getting to a ton of. I do think Cade Cunningham, is a guy you can take a look at too. We just have him projected for 15% ownership. And he has dipped down below 10K now. He's been worth it this season. He's been a great, fantastic GPP play. So I like that quite a bit. I mentioned Anthony Simons. I still think he's a good tournament play. I think his ownership is going to come way down. But I like the matchup there. And not often you get to see a nice pace up matchup. So I like that quite a bit. I had mentioned Miles McBride. I always think I just like playing a lot of those Knicks. I think they're all, Mikal Bridges really grades out well tonight. Josh Hart is a great tournament play. We like Cat. So why not getting some Miles McBride, especially with Brunson out? So I definitely like that. And then I think you can mix in, guys like Jared Butler. I just think he's a nice mid-tier play that I like on both sides tonight because Philadelphia is so shorthanded.
Yeah, I love that McBride call. Let's go to shooting guard on DK, Kristi.
Yep. So probably my favorite play. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, Mikal Bridges. He's just so cheap, and we've seen some ceilings games from him. So I like that. I mentioned Anthony Simons. Still like that play. Isaiah Joe is someone we talked about. He was popping a little bit over on FanDuel as well too. We don't have a starting lineup yet for OKC, I don't think. Unless you've seen that, Neil.
I haven't seen it.
Okay. But I do like that. Again, they're just missing a lot of players. And Joe has been a player that has been a pretty good producer. We have him at 28 minutes. I'd almost rather take a chance on him more so than like even Aaron Wiggins, just because he's a lot cheaper. He still has decent upside. So I like that. I mentioned Jared Butler. I mentioned Jordan Goodwin over on FanDuel. I think he's going to go overlooked now because there just is so much value. But, LeBron's out. We've seen him get some decent minutes. So certainly don't mind that. I also mentioned Desmond Bane over on FanDuel, just with Morant being out. He's a decent spend up option as well. But yeah, I'm getting to quite a bit of Mikal Bridges tonight at the shooting guard position.
Good stuff. Neil, your favorites at the 2.
Yep. So I'm getting to a ton of Devin Booker at shooting guard. Kassan Wallace. I did give a bump to Jaden Hardy. He's now my third highest. Keon Ellis. I also gave a bump to Ant. Again, just love the matchup. I'm also just a homer. I can play Ant, right? It's okay.
Yeah.
Spencer Dinwiddie looks pretty good in the matchup with the Pacers. Malik Monk getting to double digits. That's it as far as double digits for me. I did give a little bit of a bump to Jordan Goodwin to shade on Sharp, but I'm still not getting to double digits there.
Okay. Then that brings us to small forward. What do you like there, Neil?
Yep, at small forward, I'm getting to a lot of Aaron Wiggins. Again, I do have some concerns. I'm probably going to keep bumping him down a little bit. I still like him, but projected for just really healthy ownership, and there is a lot of volatility there. Denny Avdia looks really good at small forward. I'm getting to a fair amount of Ryan Dunn. I guess just the $3,600 price tag at kind of a weak position. He looks pretty good. Jaime Jaquez, get into a fair amount. That's it for me as far as double digits goes. I do think, DeMar DeRozan looks okay. Probably somebody I could give a little bit of a bump to still. Najee Marshall, $8,000. But he looks okay just because they are so shorthanded in Dallas. And I don't think I see anybody else that I'm really forcing into lineups. I think that's it.
Okay. Kristi, your thoughts at small forward. Also, Mr. Richard says, is it dangerous to just straight X out Chet and Hartenstein?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, especially on a big slate. And there's just so many options. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. Okay. Your thoughts at wherever we are, which I think is
small forward.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Again, you can play Mikal Bridges here. Neil mentioned Jaime Jaquez. I think he's interesting. I think he's a good tournament play. He had 30 minutes last outing, threw up 35 fantasy points. No Wiggins tonight. So I think that's a pretty good play. You see Benedict Mathurin popping a little bit here, just again with Halliburton being out. So he is somebody in there you could play. Again, Aaron Wiggins is going to look pretty good. Don't mind that. I mentioned Ryan Dunn a little bit as a tournament play. I know Noto wrote him up. He's had 3 really good games, back-to-back games here with Beal and Plumlee out. So certainly don't mind that. Again, Aaron Wiggins, Jordan Goodwin. I do like the Denny Avdia call a little bit too. He has disappointed a little bit the last couple of games, but we've seen some big ceilings out of him. Again, it's just a really great matchup, and it's just a nice mid-range option. And I think there's so many of those good mid-range guys tonight that some of those guys are going to go overlooked. So I think he makes a great tournament play.
Good stuff. That brings us to the 4, power forward. Kristi, what are you doing there?
Yeah. So here, one guy I haven't mentioned, I guess, but I do think he's in a good spot. A guy like Kevin Durant, when I was running some earlier builds, he was mixed in there a little bit. So I think he's a fine play. Again, Beal's out. There's enough value if you really want to pay up for someone. I think he's a good spend up option. So I'm getting to him. Of course, Aaron Wiggins, Chet Holmgren. We're talking about all those OKC guys. I'm probably just going to go a little bit light in general on the OKC guys. And just there's just so much great value elsewhere with Dallas, Philadelphia, and some of the others. So I'm probably going to be a little bit lighter on it, but they certainly look good. Kenrich Williams is another guy that is really, really cheap. And I think, he's fine too. At 3,200, I'd rather, go him over like a Chet Holmgren just because of the price play. And then just look to spend up elsewhere, like on a guy like Jokic, and trying to get Jokic and Luka in there. I think that's a really interesting way to go tonight. Keldon Johnson, I think is fine too. Don't love it, but he is somebody that was kind of popping in some of the optimals as well. Denny Avdia again, a lot of the same guys, but I do think Kenrich Williams is somebody that stands out as a cheap value here. Okay.
Neil, your thoughts at power forward?
Yeah, power forward. I'm getting to a lot of Kevin Durant. Probably still going to cut that back before we're done with the show. Aaron Wiggins, I've cut him back significantly. I'm still getting to almost 50%. I might cut him back a little bit more. Ryan Dunn looks good just because of the price tag. Now I'm running a crunch right now, so things are jumping out of order. I think I already mentioned Denny Avdia. Kenrich Williams, I'm still getting to a fair amount. This looks good. Not too concerned about the sitting risk for Kenrich Williams. Josh Hart looks really strong against San Antonio at 8,000. Aaron Gordon, assuming that he's going to play, looks really good. Getting to a bit of actually that's it as far as double digits for me. But I think Pascal Siakam looks like a pretty strong play with no Tyrese Halliburton there. PJ Washington looks for a shorthanded Dallas team looks pretty good. Najee Marshall looks okay. But yeah, again, I'm not getting to double digits of any of these guys. I think I'm going to force a little bit of Julius Randle into my lineups. I'll say that. Yeah, and I think that's and Kyle Filipowski, if he ends up starting, I'll want to get to some.
Sure. Okay. How about center, Neil?
Yep. At center, getting to, again, a lot of Kevin Durant, Tristan Vukovic.
So I was curious about what Vukcevic or whatever.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Regardless, I was curious about your interest level here on DK and FanDuel because I had a couple people mention him.
He's a really strong point per minute producer, and he should play probably 20 some minutes tonight. It's not a sure thing there, but I think he looks like a fairly strong play. I do think you might want to set a rule so you don't get Vukovic and Alex Sarr together because Sarr also looks pretty good for Washington. But yeah, I think Vukovic is a strong play at just 3,800.
Yeah. Okay. Any other names you want to throw in here?
Yeah, I'm also getting to a lot of Kenrich Williams. Cat, I forced in a little bit. Jalen Williams, I actually gave a little bit of a boost to just for the potential scenario that he actually plays more because they're tanking this game, tanking just one game to be clear. Joker, Donovan Clingan, and that is it for me as far as double digits goes.
Okay, Kristi, your thoughts at center?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I like the builds getting up to both Luka and Jokic, so I am a little bit overweight on Jokic. I know we're still, again, waiting on him officially, but I just like that play quite a bit. I would also say Donovan Clingan is somebody I like. I mentioned Miles Turner over on FanDuel. I just think he's not going to carry much ownership like that. You can play Kevin Durant here, and I do like Jalen Williams if you're looking for some value. When he's had the opportunity to start and play, we've seen him have some big games. So I think he's fine. And then tournament play, I always like to get some exposure, especially if you're doing more than one lineup, to getting some exposure to Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay.
So I like that quite a bit too.
Good stuff. Guys, we have 2-3 minutes here about until lock. So let's answer some QQs. Going to start, as always, in the Discord. DKGPP, Kristi, I've already got Bridges and Monk. Do you prefer Hart or DDR as the last piece?
I actually think I like Hart. The more I've kind of looked at him a little bit, I think he's a good GPP play. I think I'd go Hart.
Jaden Hardy on unspecified minutes limit per the coach. So just want to throw that out there. If you're playing a lot of Jaden Hardy, he is on some sort of minutes limit.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
Note. Okay. Cleveland Picker says, Neil, you want Ryan Dunn or Justin Edwards on FanDuel? Straight up.
Ooh, probably Ryan Dunn.
Okay. Chris says this tank narrative is maybe a bit much. OKC doesn't care about one Philly game that much, enough to want to lose. But they don't. I mean,
they're sitting several of their players though. Right. I don't know. It might be too much, but
yeah, we'll see.
It's a risk.
Negative Creep says Kristi should run for Congress. Approved. I would vote for you. Yeah. Adam wants us to know. He says, "I'm him. I'm him." He just made a basket in the trash can. Wow. Good job, Adam. Thank you for letting us know you are him. With that, you gotta Kobe when you shoot it. Let's see what else we've got. Not a whole lot of questions. You guys did great. Here we go. DKGPP, Neil, Carson Wallace or Isaiah Joe or both? I guess Kason Wallace, Isaiah Joe or both.
I mean, you can certainly play both. If Wallace is in, he would be my preference of the two.
Wow, this is bizarre that we're now getting the same question in DK Cash. So Kristi, Kason Wallace or Isaiah Joe straight up?
I think I'd go Isaiah Joe.
Okay. Chinatown says, DK, what is the Jalen Williams tanking thing? The tanking thing is that they get a better pick if the team that they're playing wins.
Yeah, they need to get Philadelphia outside of the top 6 picks, so they're better off if Philadelphia wins this game.
And they don't care because they're locked into the 1 seed, essentially, right? That's the flip side of that.
Yeah, so I was listening to another show earlier explaining that the only potential ramifications is in the finals. If they play Cleveland, if they have a worse record than Cleveland, they could lose home court advantage there.
Okay.
But I don't think it's So it's they're countering motivations there.
Yeah. All right. Jaime Jaquez, DK, thoughts, Kristi?
Yeah, I like it. I think it's good. Good GPP play.
K-Town's Finest says Westbrook, Reeves, or Grimes. Neil, you got a preference of that trio? Westbrook, Reeves. I feel like we didn't talk much about Reeves.
Yeah, I think it would be Reeves for me unless we get Joker or Jamal Murray out, in which case I would switch to Westbrook.
Okay, good note. Grimes, who I'm pretty sure was on Dallas, not doing anything and not playing, and then they traded him away for nothing, and now he's dropping 60 burgers.
He is.
I hate you, Dallas. I hate you, Mavericks.
The team, they had Luka, they had Kristaps, they had Jalen Brunson, they had Grimes. They just, come on. What are they doing?
They're the worst. They're the worst. What a note to end it on. All right. We're going to bounce on out of here. Shout out Mr. Richard says, thank you, Kristi. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Kevin. You're very welcome. We appreciate you. Guys, hit us with the thumbs up before you leave. We're trying to get the eyeballs. We need the thumbs up to do it. So for Kristi, favorite Chinese food, we got to do it. Kristi, your favorite Chinese food, what are you ordering?
Cashew chicken.
Nice. Neil.
General Tso's chicken, probably.
I'm with you with the General, baby. Let's go. Riding with the General as well. But yeah, I'll mess with some cashew chicken as well. Okay. Well, that is a much more positive note to end on for Kristi, for Neil, for our wonderful production crew. Always working hard behind the scenes. We appreciate you. We love it. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been